So you started climbing as a fun workout, but soon realized it is so much more than that. But climbing while also balancing life and work can be challenging. So if I'd start climbing over in 2025, this is what I'd do to build skills and confidence, all while only having a couple hours a week. Hi, I'm Sarah from Ascend Edition, where we help you build confidence and climb better. I want to know all about your climbing goals for 2025, so share them in the comments below and include, if you have one, what's your plan to accomplish it. Later, I'll share with you one thing that will help you progress faster than 99% of other climbers. But first, let's revise the common advice of just climb more. To be fair, the more you climb, you will get a little bit better. Unfortunately, though, climbers that take that advice tend to notice that their progress is slow. Instead, we want to add a little bit of structure to our climbing sessions. That way we can see consistent improvements in our skills and our confidence. Starting with the first 8 weeks. This prescribed 8 weeks is similar to medication. You get pills from the doctor, you do the daily dose, you don't take them all at once. If you took all the medicine at once, it wouldn't work and you'd feel sick. Same thing with this 8-week prescription. Go 1 week at a time. For each of these weeks, try to climb 2 to 3 times. Even if you only have an hour to do so, that's better than if you were just climbing once a week for 4 hours. And what we're going to focus on in the first week is toe placement. So a lot of times people are focused on their hands and their grip because that seems to be what's tired. I actually want you to focus on your feet first, okay? Placing the toe. Oftentimes beginners, they place the ball of their foot or the heel of their foot on the hold. And the challenge with this is you can't move around much. In comparison, if you place your toe on the hold, you can pivot, which allows you to move on the hold like you actually need. And notice how I'm demonstrating this on a big hold. It's more obvious on these little holds, but it's just as important on these small holds. So how are we actually going to be intentional with that? What are we actually going to do in our sessions to make that work in week 1? Let's go look at it. The first time you do this, I want you to get on an easier route. So whatever route you've already completed that you feel like is easy, do this on that one. And as you practice this, then you can get on harder routes up to the point on the routes where you haven't been able to finish it. You'll do this on those too. But we're going to do a drill called quiet feet. And essentially what that is we're going to place our feet quite intentionally so that they're quiet. But a common error that people make when doing this drill, love this route for this drill, is that they bend their arms and hold their bodies up so that they can place the foot. Next week, we'll focus on straight arms. But for now, I just want you to think about raising your leg instead of raising your body to get your foot on quietly, right? You're gonna do a couple of routes with quiet feet and then go about your climbing session how you like. The other thing that we need to be aware of or need to be able to do with our feet is what's called a foot swap. So we've got our foot on this hold. There's no space for our other foot, but that foot needs to be there. So we're gonna switch our feet. And the way we can do this is a couple different ways. My favorite way is the squish. So that's what you just barely saw, where I kind of top this foot in, I kind of squish it out like that. Some people, they prefer a hop, but that is really, you could slip really easy for doing that. So I do the squish over that. And the other one is where you go over the top, you squish out. So one is like this and one is like this. You're gonna practice this week on a few different routes so that when you need to, it'll be easy. One of the biggest challenges climbers have when they first start climbing is they feel super weak. Like their arms are too noodly to get them up a wall. But there's one thing that you can do to give yourself a little bit of relief in those arms, put more weight in your legs, which are much stronger than your arms. So let's focus on that this week, and I'll share with you what you can do each session to do that. So with this one, get on a route that's a little bit easier than what you're used to the first time you do it. But then after you've done it a few times, get on a harder route. This drill is called straight arms. So we're not gonna bend our arms at all. In fact, when kids do this drill, they have like little noodles they'll put on their arms. So imagine little noodles on your arms, keeping your arms straight. A common challenge that people find when they do this drill is they can't reach the next hold, or it's really hard on their grip. If you feel that way, make sure that you are, instead of going out like this, bend your knees like this, okay? And use your legs to push in the direction you need to go. Do this on a few routes at the beginning of each session this week. Don't forget quiet feet, because you're going to do that as well this week. That's 2 different drills you're doing this week, straight arms and quiet feet. Third week is going to build up on all of this, so it's important that you get these things down first. Now that you've got a pretty good understanding of using straight arms, and we're working on placing our feet quietly, the next thing we're going to talk about is foundational movement for climbing. And let me show you what this looks like when we don't get it right. We kind of have to swing to the next hold, and we kind of have to just drop into it and hope we're strong enough to hold on to it. Instead, we want to do what's called same hand, same foot. So if we're going to move our right hand up, we want our right foot to be in a really strong position. So that might look more like this. So instead of throwing for the hold, we're just sometimes twisting to the hold. Sometimes we're just lifting our bodies up to the next hold, okay? It takes a little bit of practice, and maybe easier to start doing this on the easiest of routes. Whatever hand you move, you want to move that foot first. Left foot, left hand move the left foot first. Remember straight arms, remember quiet feet, remember bending your knees, all right? Give this a try on week 3, every single session. Stay tuned, because I'm still going to share with you that #1 thing that's going to help you progress faster than 99% of other climbers can do at the end of each session, right after we get through these 8 weeks. For this next week, the easiest way to demonstrate this not on the wall is actually on like some sort of platform of some sort. And we're gonna talk about the rock over. So a lot of times when we've got climbers, they're trying to move and they end up like falling in the opposite direction of where they wanna go. So I want you to find stairs or a step like this, and I want you to practice stepping up onto it. So you'll notice how I got my weight over the foot before I went up. Because if I don't, if my weight is back here, I fall backwards, right? So this is the rock over movement. You're gonna do this a couple of times your first day of this week, and then you're gonna move this to the wall. So let's look at what that will look like on the wall. Let's say their bodies, this is their foothold. This is kind of terrible, but this is just an example. A lot of times they'll bend their arms to get to the next hold, but instead I want you to focus on using your legs and pull your body over to the hold with your legs. So this is really what rocking over looks like on the wall. Whether you're doing this on an actual route or just practicing it like I did here, do this every single session this week. There's one more thing that we're gonna focus on this week, not the rock over, but it's called a layback. And essentially, instead of going super sideways, we might be going a little bit sideways, but we're also going up. And so in still doing quiet feet, we're still doing straight arms, but instead of being on the wall like this, we're gonna turn our body sideways, and we're actually gonna pull away from the hold to get a little bit closer to the next one, all right? So it's kind of the opposite of rock over, but these work really well together, so practice both this week. Okay, week 5 is probably my favorite of the ones, because this is when people start using their minds a little bit more in climbing. It's gonna help you a lot with not wasting energy and feeling confident on the wall. We're talking about route reading. So what route reading is we're seeing the routes, all the holds that are on it, and we're identifying what way do I need to move my body, where do I need to place my hands so I can get to the top. So we're gonna look at this blue one as an example for this. And if this is your introduction to route reading, great, but I have made videos about this, so go check that out on YouTube. We know that this is our start hold, so we know that both hands are gonna be on here. Then we have to identify where we're gonna put our feet to support that. And that's one part of it, right? But we also want to identify and look at all the holes. So when we're up on the wall, we're not panicked and going, what do I do next? Because we already know where all the holds are, and we've already gone through a plan. So if it were me, I would start from the bottom. On really hard routes, I actually start at the top. Pro tip there, but start at the bottom. And I'm thinking, okay, I've got this really nice long one. I'm probably gonna work my way up. Good hold here, probably move my right hand here. So what do I need to do with my feet to support the next move? We just barely did rock overs. So if I put my foot there, I can rock over and get to the next hold. You do that all the way to the top. The test here is you actually go and do it. So after identifying the route, you try the moves and see if you were right. A lot of times there might be adjustments. Like this is actually kind of harder than I anticipated. So I might do a little bit like that. But now I know for next time, okay, when I see a hold this distance, these footholds, I know that I need to plan a little bit different for the rest of the route. And doing this over and over again with every single route you do can make you a lot better at it. And that's when you're gonna see the benefits over it, so you're really good at it. So start implementing this week 5, every single route you do from here on out. Skill's gonna develop fast. This week, we're doing something a little bit more advanced. So it's important that you've done all of the weeks leading up to this and you feel confident with quiet feet, with straight arms, with toes, pivoting and that kind of thing. The rock over is gonna be big and the lean back is gonna be big this week, okay? We're gonna talk about drop knees. Essentially drop knees, let's get up to a point where we're doing force a drop knee here. Is where you are slightly, there's like some slight overhang. So this isn't the perfect example, but having our hips out, we can't really reach the next hold. So we're gonna twist our body in like this. And we're using tension from that twisting to get in. A common mistake that people make is they don't get their heel up all the way. So make sure that you pop your heel up. 6 can be hard on your knees if you don't do it. So again, what that looks like is you're in this position, you twist to this position, and then you reach out with the same hand. So if you need to move your left hand, you're gonna put your left foot closer to the wall. You're gonna pivot your left hip into the wall so that you can reach your left hand a little bit further. So whether you do this on a route or you're just practicing it on made up routes, that's what you're gonna do every single day this week, is practicing the drop knee. This week, we're going to focus on the outside flag. This is the most common flag and probably one of the most commonly recommended techniques for climbers because it utilizes your skeleton instead of your muscles, plus it adds a lot of stability. So you feel balance instead of chaos. For this week, you're going to do this you're gonna practice this by doing a flag on every move for a route. It's gonna feel uncomfortable, it's gonna feel weird, it's supposed to. And guess what? The harder the route is, the more uncomfortable and harder the flag is. So this feeling kind of uncomfortable and hard is just training you for that. So if you feel really comfortable with this and you have the book 77 Drills to Help You Climb Better, go check out Prime Flagging. I recommend that drill the most for developing flagging even further. And so that's what you're gonna practice and focus on this week. Next week is week 8. We've got one more thing for you. And then you should feel really good about your climbing. Week 8 is when we're going to start breaking the rules. This is when we're going to start breaking specifically the same hand, same foot rule. A lot of times when you get into harder routes, which we're just gonna pretend for now, you only have, let's say you wanna move your left hand, but you only have your right foot. And you could do a foot swap, which is definitely a possibility for some, but if the hold's too small, what we actually recommend is a back flag. So instead of, let's say if I didn't do this, without losing control or even being able to have the tension to do that. So it's really, really hard to make that move versus with the back flag, much easier. So to make the move, to make your left hand move, you're gonna put the flag behind you. That's why it's called the back flag. Still popping our hip into the wall. And that will allow us to make a movement. So you're gonna practice this if you need to force it on holds or if you need to do what I did, which was just make up a move, you can, but that way you're ready when the route forces you to do this. You know that you can break the rules, same hand, same foot, and use the back flag. This focus will give us the foundation that we need to develop skills so we can progress faster. But there's one thing that's missing here. And it's one thing that will help you progress faster than 99% of other climbers, beginner climbers. Plus, it's going to bring significant awareness to you and your personal challenges so that you can overcome them. So let's unlock that secret. This easy 10-minute process has helped climbers transform from feeling frustrated and stuck to seeing progress faster and feeling more motivated than ever. And it comes down to evaluating your climbing after your session. We're gonna ask 4 easy questions and you're gonna record these down. Did you accomplish the goals for your climbing session? What were your strengths and weaknesses? How did you perform mentally, And is there anything that you need to keep an eye out for the next session? Revisiting your answers to each of these questions regularly, like at the end of each week, at the end of each month, will take this even further so you can start seeing those patterns of what's actually holding you back, leading to breakthroughs and overcoming those challenges. By following this structure and answering those questions, you'll have a solid foundation for your skills. Plus, you'll be progressing faster than 99% of other beginner climbers. And you'll have that foundation you need to be climbing for the rest of your life in a healthy and enjoyable manner. But unfortunately, a lot of climbers develop these habits that prevent them from climbing as hard as they could be. So watch this video next and make sure you're not one of those climbers, and so you can crush them if you are.